don't start having conversations, asking questions in these uncertain times, how do we overcome the unknown? When your moments of today are controlled by your thoughts of tomorrow, when do the problems of yesterday catch up with your someday I'll take time and get around to it life? As we know it keeps changing. We search for answers and find new reason. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Deshaun Brown. This is the podcast, New Equals Reason. In a world where the unknown keeps us learning daily together, we journey into the new. It equals the reason to have a conversation about it. If we all plant good seeds today, our food for thought for tomorrow will be plentiful for the future. On this episode, I want to talk about the effects of music and the meanings that it has on your life. For me, growing up as a young African American male in low income project housing, you heard a lot of rap, R&B. It was the late early 90s. And a lot of the artists that I grew up on, a lot of people know very well. A lot of artists, they don't. A lot of it's just the culture. And the schools I went to, kids listen to completely different music than what I heard when I would be at home and around the family. And so I got to have my eyes open to different artists and different genres of music. And the older I get, the more I appreciate having my eyes open to different genres and being able to have conversations about different artists and what they mean to people and how a certain song touches a person, because you wouldn't know what kind of music somebody likes unless you ask them. Music is not something you can stereotype somebody off of based on looks or one conversation. And you can't say what affects them as far as a mood concern goes. I mean, there's songs that get me just wanting to dance. There's songs that make me think. There's songs that put me back in a different time in my life. There's songs that remind me of certain friends, stuff that was funny, certain movies. And to me, it's interesting talking to people about stuff they grew up on, because like I said, you never know. I like listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I love the Hotel California by the Eagles. And most people would never assume that I like those bands or music. And I don't know why, but when I was in high school, early 2000s, Limp Bizkit, Korn. I love Freak on a Leash. That's a great song to me. I still have it on my phone. And there's other artists that I listen to that, I listened to later in life once I got in my 20s and I started working in warehouses in East Tennessee where they're big on country. That was something I would listen to if I was around somebody playing. It wasn't like I was like, oh man, turn that off. There's just no way. I tried to give all music a shot. But when I started working in warehouses in my 20s, and that's the only thing they played on the radio every day, you just kind of grow to it not bothering you. And then they keep playing the same songs. And eventually you're like, man, I kind of like this song. And then eventually you starting to know the words. You're hearing these songs played over and over. And you're like, man, I wish they play that one song. I like that song. To the point where, you almost know it word for word. And I still listen to the first country band that I really heard played on the radio when I started working, which happens to be Rascal Flatts. Every time I hear like two of their songs, it reminds me of working in a food factory where I was cleaning, helping them get ready for their spring inspection. And all I was doing was riding around on mobile pallet jacks and cleaning, because the maintenance men at that place, they would come in at like 11 o'clock at night and leave at like 6 or 7, some crazy hours. And so when I would be coming in, they would be on like last break, probably at lunch if they came in a little later. And they would be heading out when I would get started working. And so they had a couple radios laying around the whole warehouse. And this is a huge warehouse. I think it was like 30,000 square feet, because they stored food for the cafeterias and restaurants. And so people would ride around getting orders together, and then they put them on truck. And so I done that for, I think it turned into been about 2 months. And you're talking about 8 hours plus a day country music. And so when I would hear it now, it don't bother me at all to listen to country music. Everybody has meanings behind their music. Every genre has popular artists. Every genre has top 40 songs. And I think when you talk to people about music, it gets interesting, because you can see some of the artists that they just hate. I mean, they just can't stand certain genres. They just can't stand. Oh, I never listened to that. Oh, I never want to hear this artist. And to me, it's just funny, because something reminds them of an era or a moment or a place or a person. And when they think about it, maybe down the road they can laugh at it. But at the moment, I mean, it just kind of rubs them the wrong way, just really irritates them. And so, to me, I just think it's great to hear stories about music. That's one of my favorite things to talk to people about, especially when you hear stories about people going to concerts and the things they would do and who they met and how, this person changed their life and didn't really know, and how it still affects them to this day. And then they hear what type of music they let their kids listen to and play versus what they did when they were growing up. Because the music I listen to and I grew up on is completely different than the music my daughter listens to and what she likes and what her friends listen to. It's night and day. But it still has what is considered the same effects on your life and what's good, what's not good. And I think you can all grow and have great experiences and going down memory lane talking to people about what they used to do, what they used to listen to, what their friends did. how it affected relationships, what songs got them through hard times. Because when I lost my cousin in '04, there was a song, I can't remember the artist, that I would just listen to. And it was kind of like a healing song. It was just kind of something that, put not positive memories as far as like away from what happened, but it made me think just about life. And I still listen to that song every now and then, and it puts me right back in that same place. And this was in 2004. Every time I hear it, it puts me in that same place. And there's a song I listen to that reminds me of playing basketball. It's a Lil Wayne song. And before every home game and away game, I would just play it loud in my headphones, on my speakers. It would get me amped up. And I still listen to that song, and it's like clockwork. It puts me right back to thinking about to play a game in front of a crowd. And then there's just songs I love, great classic albums. I'm a big R&B fan. I like songs from the 70s, 60s. I love old school music. I think that was when it was just, the writing was different. Those songs were about people. Those songs were about situations. Those songs were about moods. Like, don't get me wrong, the songs today are, but those songs had more passion. It wasn't about trying to be famous with a lot of their songs back then. And I think that's why a lot of songs from back in the day, like your Elvises, your Al Greens, and Bobby White, Barry White, I'm sorry, and all those classic artists, I think that's why they stand the test of time, because of where the songs were written from, what they were trying to get across. There wasn't a lot of money in music back then, so for them, it was just, a way of expression. Now, today's music is a way of expression, but I think it's so mainstream that, you got Instagram, and you got Facebook, and you got all these other sources of ways to express yourself and be seen and advertised and make more money. I just don't think you get the same heart and the same dedication like you used to, when you can feel like, man, I listened to this artist when they were, just starting out in the struggle. And that's any genre. I think you get better music when somebody has nothing to lose and everything to gain. I think you get raw emotion. And I think when you look at any artist, when it's raw, when it's real emotion, real problem, real struggle, really trying to make it, I think that's when most people agree their best work is done. I think that's with any artist, any genre. I think anybody you talk to, when they talk about their favorite artist, one of their first couple albums probably about guaranteed to be one of your favorites, because it was something so different. The passion was there. You could feel the pain in their voice. And to me, that's what makes music something that people can live by and enjoy and still reminisce on, even when nobody's around. I think it's just interesting to hear people get excited talking about what this song does for them, or what this artist got them through. It's so interesting. I think if you ever get a chance to talk to different age groups, different race, different, just anything different. I think you'll be amazed in finding that, hey man, we got some things in common as far as music. That we have same likes on certain songs. If you're just having an honest conversation. And so I encourage you to step outside of your normal and one day just have a random, honest conversation about music and see if you can't find somebody you never thought had the same likes as you and find out you kind of do have the same ideas when it comes to music. And maybe, you might find out you're better friends for it, or you might come up with a friend you can go to a concert with and just enjoy different things in life. So I challenge you to find somebody that you would think you have nothing in common with and just start a conversation on music. I want to thank you for tuning in to my podcast, New Equals Reason. I'm your host, Deshaun Brown. Conversation is key to communication. So let's keep the conversation going until the next time. Thank you.